Welcome back, Roto RX, your fantasy prescription. I don't know if that's a good name or not, but we're going with it for now until something better comes along. I'm Andy Singleton, People's Pen on Twitter. My buddy Tehol, Mr. Beddict.
In the house.
443. Yeah, well, somewhere. We're somewhere. We're not in each other's houses, but we're somewhere. Anyway, we're going to get right into this. I want to, tip my hat.
I can tell you that much.
Well, I didn't even hear you. What'd you say?
I said you can sleep at my place anytime you want, buddy.
I appreciate it, and the feeling's mutual. Well, let me get right into this because they ain't
Hold on, I got Doug Moore in my basement. Hogtied.
All right. Well, Tehol, of course, is from Razzball, so shout out to all the Razzball followers, subscribers, readers, and I'm, self-representing the Reddit community, so I want to give a tip of the hat to everybody over there as well. Thank you for answering my post and my poll for some guys that you wanted to hear talked about this week. So we're going to jump right into it. And we got 7 guys for you, plus the three injuries from the doctor, the fantasy doctor, Selene Parekh. We'll patch him in here as well. And let's get right into it. And the predominant question people wanted to know about was Trevor Story, who is now in line to be the Rockies starting shortstop. So, my friend, where's your stance with Trevor Story entering this season? Are you big on him? Are you down on him? What's your take?
I'm big on him. I need to see the ADP. I mean, these are the kind of guys that I get. This is kind of my fault. Like if I was this is the one drawback for being me is I get these tantalizing young prospects just suck me in a little hot streak and just get me just reaching like a mother trying to get these guys on my team. And I mean, hey, the guy hits in Colorado, Coors Field. He's mashing in spring. I'm in, man. I mean, I don't know. The shortstop is a terrible position. I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just to give you, a couple numbers. So he was drafted to kind of be the heir apparent to Tulowitzki a while ago. There's a lot of hype on him. And then he just started trying to, pull everything that he saw. And that kind of led to some strikeouts. The strikeout numbers increased. It just screwed up his whole swing overall. And, he had some successes first year in the minors, and then it just kind of derailed from there. People started worrying. He changed his approach going back a little over a year now. And last year he started to see the results again where he stopped trying to pull everything. He just started worrying about putting balls in play. And he's got natural power anyway. So he's still a good, 20 home run guy. And that's not even in, in cores with the thin air there. But I just want to give you this number. So his Ks per plate appearance, in 2012, when he first came up, he struck out 4.5 times every time he came to the plate. That increased in 2013 and 2014 to 3 times every plate appearance. And then, like I was mentioning, last year he got it down back to a little over 4. And as you mentioned, he's raking right now. This so far in the spring, he's only striking out once every 5.33 at bats. Plate appearances. So he really seems to have gotten this in check. And I think he's definitely somebody you should feel very confident with because the job is his, and there's not really many anything else peeking over his shoulder right now. And I'm going to give you one more thing on Trevor Story. I came prepared this week, so I hope you're ready. This is a Nolan Arenado quote, and we all know how much everybody loves Nolan. I can't get over how much control he has over his own game. I mean, that just kind of speaks volumes to me. He's referring to how he just manages at bats. And Story has a real mature approach to all his at-bats. So I think it was really just an issue of trying to pull everything.
There's a real story there.
There is a real story there. And I've failed at several attempts at making some kind of vague reference there.
The never-ending story. Greatest thing ever made. You think so? You're guaranteeing me he hits 20 homers. That's what I want.
You know what? He's a steals guy, too. He's
2020.
I book it. I'll go on the record and say book it. 2020 guy. I would even say he's going to hit in the 280 and above range this year. I'm in on Story. And speaking of stories, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but enlighten us with the story from your neck of the woods, from your world, from your day, from your week, from your weekend. It was Easter weekend. I know you're a man of many stories. So since we're talking about a story, you got a little side story real quick?
Yeah, for Easter got a little was kind of low key this year. I went to this little this woman I'm kind of speaking with. I went to her home. Actually, she's house sitting, and I don't know. Is this podcast rated X or NC-17? I mean, I don't really want to get into it, but long story short, we had a nice meal. She cooked up some serious food. My family's down in California, Palm Springs right now, so I had to sit alone. Luckily, this nice gal took me into her home, and she fed me steak, and I fed her something else. You know what I'm saying?
Well, before we lose members not familiar with your
it wasn't your traditional Easter egg hunt.
Okay, there you go. Even better. All right, let's move along. Another guy on this list, a pitcher. I'm gonna introduce Jose Orlando Berrios, Jo. He seems to be going just by Jose now. How does he take on him? You familiar with Mr. Berrios? One of the twins.
I certainly am. I'm one of the guys. I just sit and wait for these guys. I'm on the waiver wire like this. I'm talking last year. I'm waiting for this guy, waiting on this guy for weeks. Like, God, call him up. What are the Twins doing? This franchise is a joke to me. And I'm just like, come on. He's obviously one of the best 5 pitchers right now. They want to play the little game where they get the service time out of him. I'm pretty sure he'll be up quick. He's got some dominant stuff. I really like guys like this. But then again, I get sucked into the Taiwan Walkers. I'm drafting them every year. Or is this guy? But there's always the chance that they're truly a star. And I like this guy to kind of out there in Minnesota, the big ballpark, a lot of strikeouts. Those are the kind of guys that I keep me up nights, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Twins and the organization and the prospects and everything like that. They have 4 legit AL Rookie of the Year contenders on one team in Max Kepler, Byron Buxton, of course, Park coming over from the KBO, and Mr. Berrios himself. But let me give you something very interesting. And I am engaged to be married to a former Miss Puerto Rico. She of Puerto Rican descent. She was former Miss Puerto Rico, and so she'll be proud of this fact as well. Do you know that Jose?
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Well, this is why we get along so well, my friend. Just so you know, there's a lot of pride in baseball in Puerto Rico. Jose Berrios, Jose Orlando, Jo, is the highest drafted Puerto Rican pitcher ever.
Really?
Really. He went 32nd overall, late end of the first round. I think it was a supplemental pick, but it was a first-round pick, 32 overall in 2012. And you want to hear a more interesting fact than that? He didn't go to his high school didn't have a baseball team, so he played for his father's traveling team, and he didn't even start pitching until January, the year that he got drafted. And the draft is in June. So he just started pitching 6 months prior to the draft, and he's the most highly drafted pitcher in Puerto Rican history. What do you
guys? These are stories that sucked me in, man. Thank you for that. Now I'm even more sold on the guy, and I'll be including that in my next post on Razzball.com. Actually, I already wrote it. It's coming out. I don't even remember. I think it's coming out probably the day this podcast drops. So never mind. He didn't make the cut, but he'll be in there next time.
Oh, you can still link
your whole story. I'll give you credit.
All right, thank you. You can still link it though. We need some Razzball participation with this as well. Let me ask you, and a lot of people are asking us this week. They want to know about a lot of minor league guys on the fringe of getting called up or have already gotten called up or about to. And this brings me to the point with Berrios that he is one of these guys that hasn't pitched in the pros yet. So the clock.
That's really not kidding. I didn't even remember they didn't even bring him up last. They kept talking. I thought it was like, oh, you never. I kept picking him up on waiver, adding him to my. Yeah, that's right. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine, and it's very
for me.
Well, that's very relevant and valid to the point because he's one of these guys that the clock is ticking, or actually has not started ticking yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Twins do with him because if they wait the first 13 days of the season, whatever it is, the Chris Bryant rule. They're going to have an extra year of control with him. But additionally, if they wait until roughly the first week of June, he'll lose arbitration rights for a 4-year period. So I think I have that right. If I'm a little inaccurate on that, somebody please let me know. But I mean that's another big difference. So
It's totally worth it. From the team's perspective, in my opinion, it's totally worth it to do that, especially when you're not contending or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But and so my point was, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the Twins start off the season, because they definitely have playoff hopes. They they have a young team, but they do have they have had some success there, and they've started building, I should say, in the last couple of years. And
how many homers does Sano get this year, real quick, before I forget? I need to hear from you, your personal opinion.
I can give you a nice round number, 35.
Okay, I was thinking more like 50, but okay.
Why 50? Because you're a 50 fan?
Because that's what I'm hoping for.
Because you wish to part of
this guy doesn't have eligibility anywhere. I mean, he probably does in a league like a website like Yahoo probably gives this guy like eligibility at shortstop like they did last year. Just a joke. I don't know how they get away with this stuff. But I'm not here to bash Yahoo. I'm here to wish Sano was athletic enough to play an actual position, so I didn't have to stick him in the utility spot because I would draft him.
So can we put you on record as saying 50? Is that a serious?
40. I'll say 40 for sure. Gary, if he plays 150 plus games, 40 is a lock.
All right, sounds good. I like it. And since we're speaking to Sano, you brought it up. I donated and contributed to the Pelotero movie, the sequel. There's a documentary about him. If nobody's familiar with this, some of you are, I know. If you're not, Google it, research it, check it out. It's pretty cool. And it follows him from, like a 16-year-old all the way through the minors. Anyway.
So it's like Hoop Dreams?
Yeah, kind of. And then the sequel was going to be, his transition from the minors to the pros, and then he got called up early. So they were trying to rush the production, and I think they ran out of money. So they're trying to find more money. So, I mean, basically, if you enjoy it and you want to see the sequel, go.
I watch anything with Sano. This guy's a hog. I'm sold.
He is. All right, so you want to do one more guy? You want to bring up the doctor for a first visit? Let's bring in the doctor for a first visit.
Okay, let's bring him in.
All right, so we're going to go with let's go with Will Smith.
Will Smith. What does Daddy have to say about old Willie? Okay. Here's that.
Should be the first one, I think.
Yeah. Is it just a photo? Oh.
No, you got to click on it.
Okay. It's loading.
This is Dr. Selene Parekh, the Fantasy Doctor. The Brewers have a big challenge in that closer Will Smith hurt his lateral collateral ligament of his right knee while trying to take off a shoe. This is a freak accident that almost never would happen. But the problem is that this is potentially a very big injury. Depending on the severity of this, and there's multiple grades, he could be out 2 to 6 weeks. The bigger issue is whether or not it's fully torn, or more importantly, if the posterior lateral corner of the knee is really injured. That gives you stability on rotation of the knee. Being that this is his leading knee for a left-handed pitcher and the right knee leads and takes a lot of twisting motion, this is a potential big injury, because if he needs surgery, look for him to be out at least 3 to 6 months, and maybe this entire season could be at risk. We'll have to find out the extent of his injury as the MRIs are done and the opinions come in of the orthopedic surgeons taking care of him.
This is Dr. Selene Parekh, Fantasy Doctor.
So, first of all, let me just inform everybody. The doctor does not take off. He's actually vacationing with his family south of the border, and he's dedicated to this show and to you, the audience. So I just want to say thank you to the doctor for taking the time to do that. I hope you get back here before the wall starts to go up. But that is, listening to that, I can't help.
Did Trump host your fiance's beauty?
No, it was not Miss America. It was she was Miss Puerto Rico for the state of New York.
Close enough.
All right. But I didn't. You might have seen me chuckling. I don't mean to laugh at Mr. Smith, Mr. Will Smith. But apparently he didn't watch Mr. Rogers growing up, because if you watch Mr. Rogers, you sit down and you do 1 foot at a time, one shoe at a time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's major leagues. Pay somebody to put on and take off your shoes, man. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I really think this is big news, and especially what the doctor's report was that sounds pretty drastic, and especially as you were saying, his lead foot, a lot of bending and twisting in that And this could be, something that he misses the season on. That's tremendous news, not only for the Brewers, but for Smith himself. I mean, this guy started out as a starter, transitioned to the bullpen. He's still young. I think he's like 25 going on 26, and he's been lights out. Like, his K numbers are like insane. Like, it'd be like what you would create. Your version of your created self in a video game is what this guy puts up in real life. Like, that's how good his strikeout numbers have been. And now they got to turn to Jeremy Jeffries. I might even be pronouncing it wrong. What's your take? You got any belief in a Brewers fill-in closer now that Smith is gone?
Yeah, I got belief in any closers. I'm picking up any closers. Always be closer. What is Razzball's motto? They got some motto that I don't really abide by, but it's like, their motto. These guys' mottos are never draft these closers high at all, because they just be picking the waiver wire clean. They're all on Twitter waiting for the news to drop before I can even get there to the waiver. These guys are all over that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that guy's fine. He's okay. But as far as Will Smith is concerned, with these kind of injuries and it's a closer, there's nothing for me to do here. There's no drafting for me. There's no DL for me. Like, this is kind of reminds me of like the Oakland closer a couple years ago or last year. I don't know if it was Doolittle or whoever it was that people are holding the whole damn year. I think it was 2 years ago when Gregerson was there or something. Or I'm getting the years mixed up, but time flies when you're having fun out here. But yeah, I mean, I'm whenever these kind of injuries happen, these lingering injuries, especially with the pitchers, I mean, it's not a good thing. And I mean, if surgery happens, it's obvious he's done for the season. So.
Yeah, and that's a real setback. Now, I posted this on Reddit. Like, why is nobody talking about Jeffries? What did you say, Jeffries?
Totally wrong. I'm just
yeah, me too. And maybe we'll get him on the show at some point in the future, and he can school us on the pronunciation of his name. But I put it up. Why isn't anybody talking about him? This guy's slotting into the role right now, and everybody's saying, "Oh, the Brewers aren't even going to win 10 games." I'm exaggerating. I'm exaggerating, of course, but just to pull up some numbers, they were 26th in save opportunities as a team last year with 54 save chances. So there is potential there for somebody to pick up some saves. And I don't know if it's Jeffers, because you got Corey Nebel, barking at his heels, and he's got some electric K potential as well, and that's kind of what you're looking for in the closer. I'm not sure that Jeffers, whatever it is, can hold it down too long. You're losing a lot of that natural light, my friend.
Yeah. You want me to turn these lights on?
If you can, it's showtime.
Right.
All right. I'll cut that part out.
Okay.
All right. All right. So we'll stick with the pitching theme. We'll stick with guys that throw heat, guys that put up Ks, at a rapid rate, and that's Lucas Giolito, who is just a monster. What is he, like 6'6", 255? Like, this kid's just a beast. And I know a lot of people are, excited about him. I want to know your take, because I personally am not this year at least. I think, depending on the format, obviously Dynasty League, he's a stud. Keeper League, you might want to, depending on your settings, get him somewhere towards the end of the season to stash. But I don't know that he's going to be that impactful in 2016. But I would like to hear what you think.
Right. Again, these are the kind of guys that I get obsessed with at an early age when they're nice and young, ripe, ready to rock. And it's not really – I don't see him coming through right now. I mean, with Zimmerman moving on from there, you would have liked to see him kind of step up immediately, but he's obviously not quite ready. Maybe it's possible he comes up kind of like when Rodon did for the White Sox last year. Maybe he can pull something like that. He's probably going to have some control problems, his walk problems, that kind of thing. But I'm not really I'm kind of monitoring the situation. It's not a high priority for me, but I'll start paying attention if he starts dominating in the minors to start the year, and if depending on what happens with the Nationals and their rotation, I don't know. He's not somebody I'm drafting or stashing.
Yeah, and here's my deal with him is that he's only pitched 47 innings at Double-A, and he hasn't pitched above that. He's already been reassigned, to minor league camp already. I think he's going to go back to Double-A to start there. You know, he could progress to AAA quickly, but again, he's only pitched 47 innings at AA, and while he dominated the lower levels, once he moved up to AA, he had his control was a little spotty. The K's dropped a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a stud. I'm not saying he doesn't figure out the system, but the point is he's still a work in progress, and I don't think he's ready just yet. And then not to mention, I make a lot of reference to the Dusty effect, with Dusty Baker not really liking youngsters. You already got Joe Ross in Washington that the Nationals are going to be like reliant on at various points in the season. I really can't see him entrusting 2 young arms, in a playoff push. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if the guys are forcing the issue and just dominating, you're not going to bench them, but you get where I'm going with that.
I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Yeah, I'm not ready. He's not ready yet. We'll see. I got to see him. I got to see him lighten up the minors for a nice stretch here.
Light it up.
Lighten it up. I need to see him lighten it up. I need to see him just killing it for like a nice stretch before they even consider bringing him up. And again, it could be like if they're finally making a playoff push and living up to the hype which they've had for years and not done. Maybe towards the end of the season, maybe they bring him up for the bullpen. Maybe they bring him up kind of near the end for the playoff push as an extra starter. We'll see.
Yeah, I like that bullpen arm down towards the end of the season if they're in the playoff hunt. You know who's not lighting it up?
Who?
Javier Baez.
I'm a big fan of his. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I liked when he came up last season. He was hitting pretty solidly, yet they still insisted on not playing him every day. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. What does this guy have to do? Now he's a little banged up, right? He kind of hurt his thumb. He's going to start the year on the DL. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I kind of was hoping, based on their other moves, that maybe they dealt him for a pitcher or something, although I'd love to have him hitting in that lineup, but he's not going to be hitting there every day, and he might not be hitting there at all. They could use another starting pitcher. I was kind of hoping they'd flip him for one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought they should have did with Starlin Castro like 2 years ago. I mean, this
value, yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for Baez, to be honest. Like, I like him too. And, how could you not like him? The guy hit like 4 home runs and 5 at-bats. A couple of years ago, it was like a 19-year-old or whatever it was. He seemed to be the lock to ascend, but he was blocked by Castro. And
I reached on him so high last year, by the way. I don't even want to talk about it, but I reached on Baez pretty high. I paid a pretty penny for him in a auction league, which is a keeper league, but it was just disastrous.
Yeah, well, like I said, he was kind of blocked by Castro, and then when Castro kind of started falling out of favor, you thought, okay, maybe now he could kind of push in. And then they go and trade for Addison Russell, and then it's just like this guy has just been like having horrible luck, and now they signed Zobrist.
Yeah,
bringing all this stuff. I don't know where he goes, and this kind of leads to a side that somebody else was asking on Reddit, of course. Not to Reddit again. We did that simultaneously. What happens with the Cubs and playing time? And my answer to that is, Joe Maddon is a small ball kind of type of manager. Will get creative. He'll shift things around. I think you see a few guys playing multiple positions, whether it's Schwarber, whether it's Bryant, Bryant in the outfield and a third. Even Russell, moving over, back to second, maybe for a couple games to get by some at bats here and there. Whatever the situation is, I think you're going to see some movement going on, and Matt will be creative. But what you worried about any of these Cubs superstars? It seems like everybody's already, writing them off to be like, better than former Yankees.
Murderers row.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going.
Yeah, the only guys I'm kind of worried about, I was hyped up on it. I think Addison Russell's going to have a nice year. But I'd like to see him hitting higher in the lineup. I'm sure he'll be hitting 8th or 9th probably or something like that. So it's not as exciting as it could be. I have no worries about Chris Bryant. I think he's going to have a monster season, as well as Rizzo is probably going to have his best season. This dude is an absolute savage, one of the most probably under-talked players, that's probably not well known by the common fan. The guy is a legend.
Who you talking about? Rizzo?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I got no problem with Chris Bryant. I'm kind of curious to see how Schwarber, because he was just, took the world by storm last year, and I'm just a little hesitant that I've been drafting him here and there, and I'm just because he's got that catcher eligibility. But I'm concerned that he might not be. I don't know how he's going to get in there every day or where they're going to put him. Is he going to be catching it all? What's going to be happening here? But I think the lineup's going to rake. I think Hayward's would be a nice addition, even though it's crazy to me they paid him that much money. Got Fowler back. I mean, that's why I don't know where. So either Soler or Schwarber. I mean, these guys are going to be sitting from time to time. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're loaded up, man.
Yeah, well, let me keep this on the Cubs real quick. And you say they're going to rake, and I don't disagree with you. But are you worried about any particular player being kind of cut out, whether it's Soler, whether it's
like
Baez?
Soler, yeah.
Soler's the odd man out for you?
I think he's very talented. He kind of he majorly disappointed me last season. But, I don't see how he gets left. I don't see how he's not the guy that gets left out unless Schwarber starts the year ice cold. I mean, they got to have him out. They want to get that bad in there. I mean, Soler, could be on the level of those same guys, but I mean, what are they going to do? I don't know what they're going to do.
All right.
Who do you bench? I mean, then they brought back Fowler. I mean, clearing him out of there at least kind of, cleared one spot for at least somebody, and now it's that he's back. He's kind of the everyday dude. I mean, I don't think they'll be moving anyone over there very often. He's kind of an everyday center fielder. He's obviously the best defensive center fielder they have, even though they say Hayward is so great defensively. I don't see him being a great center fielder defensively.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would if I had to guess, I'd say Soler, unless, again, I have minor concerns about Schwarber just starting cold because last year was so insane.
And you know what? It's a good problem to have if you're a Cubs fan.
Right.
And like I said, you got the right manager.
You can trade Soler, Baez. I mean, you could get a hog pitcher for some of these guys. For these guys, like, I don't know, I'd be looking at it.
Yeah, and, well, you know what? And it's just an embarrassment of riches because I have to mention my boy Arizmendi Alcantara, who people completely have forgotten about. And this guy's hitting again. And, he could make some team very happy if he could ever get out of the Cubs system because he's not going to play anywhere currently as Chicago is constituted. But last thing before we move off the Cubs, you mentioned Schwarber, you mentioned his appeal at catcher. If he didn't have that catcher eligibility, does he have the same allure to you?
No.
Or not even close?
Well, I mean, catcher is such a weak position that it makes a huge difference for me. I mean, if you can get somebody there with that kind of potential and that kind of power and ability right there in that lineup that you can plug in your catcher spot in fantasy, I mean, that bumps him up at least a few rounds for sure. I mean, I don't know how many exactly I would say offhand, but yeah, it definitely bumps him up for me for sure to get somebody to plug into that catcher position so you're not mixing and matching these bums late in the season trying to catch a hot streak. I mean, so I'm not going back to, God, who were some of the catchers? I was starting the Swinehart. I started all these. Oh my God! Zanino. Yeah, I don't want to go back to that place. It's a dark place. I want to be in the light. I want to be with Kyle Schwarber, basking in his glory.
Okay. Well, speaking of somebody basking in glory, let's go back to the doctor for another medical update, and this time we're going to talk about Kevin Gausman of Oriole
lore.
I'm trying to think of a negative word without sounding too harsh.
The next.
Do you remember Generation K?
Orioles pitcher Kevin Gausman will start the season next week on the DL list. He has had shoulder tendonitis and on March 20th had a cortisone shot to try to quell down those inflammatory issues going on in the shoulder. Now, the Orioles are going to take him very slowly. They're going to work on strength and biomechanics to try to keep him playing the entire season and to keep him healthy. Look for him to have a slow return back into the lineup, and you'll notice that he'll probably be out 2 to 4 weeks. Again, the Orioles are going to take it slowly. They're going to watch his pitch count, watch his velocity, and see how he does on the mound in the first few games. But if he struggles, they'll get him out of there very quickly. This is going to be important to watch as the season progresses, because if it becomes a recurrent issue, look for this to become a bigger problem, namely looking at issues with the rotator cuff or even the labrum. So keep an eye out on how the Orioles treat him as they get him back onto the mound.
I was starting to mention, if you remember Generation K with the Mets, with Isringhausen, Bill Pulsifer, Paul Wilson, that was supposed to be like
Yeah, man, I'm old as shit.
the most amazing trio ever, and they bombed. And I'm starting to feel that way about Gausman, Dylan Bundy, and Hunter Harvey, who, I mean, I don't want to hear this news. I don't want to hear it, you know, watching his pitch count, cortisone shots. I mean, we're in April. We're in March. We're not even in April yet, and you're already on the shelf. I don't like this.
Did you leave out one guy? Who was that other real high draft pick they had? You left out a guy.
For Baltimore?
Yeah.
I did leave out a guy.
What is the bum's name? Mats.
No, that's on the Mets. Now. That's a current Met.
I need to look this up.
Wait, what are you talking about? Mattis.
Mattis. Yeah, Mattis.
That was a few years ago. What was it, like Brian Mattis or something? Yeah.
He was a huge prospect. Some dude took this guy before Stanton in my minor league draft in a keeper league, like the pick before. I mean, that's how real the dude was. So that's another heartbreaker right there. You trade Arrieta. This guy's a bum. Gausman is not what I was expecting either. Bundy was like a guaranteed thing almost, and that is just tragic. I don't even want to talk about him, but yeah, I mean, Gausman isn't a guy, but I'm not on this at all. I mean, you got to watch the injury, maybe pick him up off waivers when he gets healthy. I mean, see what happens, kind of thing. I don't. It's not somebody I have really any interest in right now.
Yeah, I'm steering clear, and another guy I'm steering clear from personally. I think he'll be okay. He's really kind of enticing to just kind of fall in love with. I'm talking about Joey Gallo. He's gotten reassigned already as well. He got a taste of the bigs last year. I mean, this is Adam Dunn to the T all over again. I mean, let's not forget, Adam Dunn could get you 41 homers, 96 RBIs, and bat 204 on the season. Like, that's
pretty incredible, really.
It's almost more impressive that he had such a low batting average.
And Dunn had major walks too, the high walk rate too, making it even more insane. It was like a strikeout, a walk, or a homer. I mean,
yeah, right. That's it. One of three, nothing else.
Pretty impressive.
And I feel like Gallo's kind of in the same boat. They moved to the outfield. Beltre's aging. I think he'll still get some at bats at third, but the best news for him is that he's in the AL. And there's DH there, and I think there's just too much riding on it. With his home runs, he'll hit them, but I think it's going to come down to the quality of them, not the quantity. And if they're coming, in the ninth inning when they're already up 5 or down 5, that's not going to keep him in the lineup. If he's hitting a game-breaking homer in the 7th or the 8th, that will keep him in the lineup. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a place for him on the team. I mean, I know he's been optioned to AAA. I mean, he'll be up at some point, I guess. I'm a fan. I mean, this he's strong, man. He's stronger than
Donkey Kong.
Khloe Kardashian's breath. I mean, this guy is strong. This dude is strong after a all-you-can-eat shrimp fest at Red Lobster type thing. Yeah, I mean, he is strong, ox strong. Barry Bonds with steroids strong. I'm really feeling him. I'm a fan of the power. I like the game. I'd like to see him up there. I would have liked to see him make the opening day roster, even if they're kind of platooning him a little bit. I mean, but we'll see if he gets hot like he did in AAA again last year. He'll be up at some point, but like you said, I mean, he doesn't even seem to have Dunn's kind of, if he had Dunn's hand-eye coordination, he could take a lot more walks instead of striking out 90% of the time and hitting a homer the other 10%. If he could just strike out like 60% of the time, I think he should be in the lineup there every day. So we'll see if he can improve upon that. But yeah, as far as him ever becoming a great baseball player, you usually don't see that happen when somebody just cannot hit to save their life.
How many times have you been to all-you-can-eat seafood buffet with any Kardashian?
I am legally not allowed to speak about that on video.
Okay. All right. We got two more healthy players. I know this might be dragging. We're working on this. So if you guys are enjoying this and it's not too long, let us know. Please leave the comments. If you're starting to snooze and fall asleep, let us know. Tighten it up. Stop going off track. Trying to keep it all relevant. We got two more healthy players, two more injured players. Let's go. Let's go to the doctor again. Let's talk Jhonny Peralta. He's somebody I'm very interested in.
Is he?
Simply because he was my late round shortstop stash. And now that can't be.
Cardinals shortstop Jhonny Peralta underwent thumb surgery on his left hand back in early March. Now, this is his non-dominant hand, which is a great thing for a defensive player. As shortstop, it's critical for him to be able to grip the ball and throw it with velocity to get players out at both first and second base and even home plate. But the bigger issue for him is really gripping the bat and how he's able to swing with this left hand thumb reconstruction. The real timetable is probably more along the lines of 3 to 4 months for him to get back on the lineup. I'm really looking more towards the All-Star game as really his return date, in and around that time frame. Look for him to come back and really be pretty good, at least on the defensive side. On the offensive side, we'll have to see how he does. Again, if he struggles with gripping the bat, his hitting percentage or even his power will be of a big concern. So we'll be watching this very closely, but I think All-Star break is the time to see him back in the lineup.
I guess that's good news, but I'm not interested in Jhonny Peralta for his defense. So if he's not hit, huh?
You're not?
No, if he's not hitting, I'm not. I'm out. And like I said, he was going to be my late round shortstop stash, not stash, my starter. He's defying the laws of nature, kind of like Bartolo Colon in a way.
Kind of like all the players who use steroids. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I'm totally on board.
Okay, so I guess you're not a fan. Well.
Didn't he get suspended once for steroids? Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, he did rake that last year, but then I've seen all the projections were way lower this year, so I was like, what's that based on? But yeah, I like him as an offensive player for sure. But yeah.
He tailed off a little at the second half of the season last year, but I think he's still a good source of power. But the question became who was going to get those at bats at short in St. Louis, and of course now they've added Ruben Tejada, and he's got the best glove for the position on that team as currently constituted. So I can't see anybody really challenging him for regular playing time, unless he's batting, 0.88 by May. Then I really think he's the guy. So that's not an endorsement on going out and getting Ruben Tejada because we've seen what Ruben Tejada can do.
Yeah, we don't want none of that.
No, we don't want none of that. So let me get to a guy another hot topic. We got two more guys left. Marcell Ozuna. I think last year was, everybody was down on him. I think the numbers are a little deceiving. He actually really wasn't that off from what he normally produces. Right. He had a demotion, which, it was really it seemed like a bunch of mind games going on with him more than anything last year. And, he hit, when he got called back up, he hit 6 home runs with 18 RBIs in the last 44 games of the season. That over a full season is basically what he's been to this point in his career, like a 20 to 25 home run guy. He's not a high average guy. He's a guy. So I would feel very comfortable with taking him this year. Along the lines of your third outfielder with some room for potential. But I don't think he's really going to hurt you if you just look at what he's done in the past. What say you? You got anything on Ozuna?
Oh, do I? Yeah, Ozuna is a guy I really like. I mean, obviously he's one of the more disappointing guys. I know you got some stats to back up that he really wasn't that bad, but to me, he looked really bad. But let me be real right now. This guy is hotter than Elton John's butthole. I mean, this guy is scorching right now. He's raking. He lost 20 pounds. I don't know if you mentioned that. I was kind of like spacing out, thinking about my Easter feast I told you about earlier. And let me tell you, it was a real feast. But let me say that Ozuna dropped the 20 pounds and he raked He's been raking all spring, man. This is a guy. These are the guys you have to draft. I mean, these are the guys that are hyped one year, and then the next year people totally forget about these people when it's like this guy, everybody was hyping this guy as a 30 homer, whatever he was going to do last year, just go off, and now he's just forgotten about it. I'm sure people are back on the train a little bit because of the spring, but he's a guy I'm feeling him. I don't have him on any teams yet, but you inspired me. Do I have any more drafts? I don't know, but I'm getting him somehow.
Listen, I'm totally on board with. Before you gave me that beautiful lecture and speech on him, and now I am totally sold. I am on board. I need to lose 20 pounds personally myself. Marcell Ozuna is going to be my inspiration for that. So I wasn't trying to say I was down on him. I'm totally on board with that. Let me. You know what? We got one more regular guy who is probably the most debated guy I remember having conversations with about so far this week. That's Vincent Velasquez. But before we get into him, we'll go one more. We got the doctor to give a bonus injury update, and that was on Carlos Gomez. Some people wanted to know about, Go, with his injury at the end of last season. How's he looking? I personally think we've already begun to see the decline, injured or not. If you get 15 out of him, I think you'll take it. I think you'd be happy with that. I think the power's tailed off, and I don't think he's stealing as much anymore. And I don't think, he needs to in Houston with what they currently have. So that's my feeling on him. But I would like to hear your words, but I'd also like to hear what the doctor thinks, any lingering effects.
Let's listen to my Poppy here first.
Your stepfather.
Yeah, stepdaddy.
He
didn't take me to wherever the heck he is right now, though, because that looks nice.
Astros center fielder Carlos Gomez had a rough end of the season last year in 2015. He had an intercostal muscle strain. Now, those are the muscles that line the rib cage between the ribs themselves. He missed 17 of the last 21 games for the Astros, and more importantly, missed some of their postseason play. Now, he's had a lot of time to be off, a lot of time for this to rest, and to work on swinging and motion and biomechanics. So I think that he'll start the season perfectly fine. This will be an injury that's way behind him, and it's not like this injury really recurs very often. So don't look for this to become a recurring or a nagging problem throughout 2016. Look for him to be back fully functional on both sides of the ball. It's Dr. Selene Parekh, Fantasy Doctor.
It's good news. He'll be in the lineup, but like I said, I think we already started seeing the decline. So I'm not saying don't take. I love Go, and you gotta love him, but I don't think you should be expecting the numbers we've become familiar with him.
No,
I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see either a possible little resurgence. I mean, the lineup is pretty stacked up. So, yeah, you're right. He probably won't be taken off too often. I mean, why would he? I mean, even Altuve, my man, stole quite a few bases, but there were times when they were even holding him up because the lineup was so juiced up. And, if he's not going every time, why risk a brittle man like Gomez sending him every time? I mean, there's really no need. And like you said, yeah, the power is just, he's not in Milwaukee anymore. It's a nice ballpark there to hit homers, but it's not quite Milwaukee, the bandbox he was banging out before. So I think, definitely think he's probably going a little too high for my taste. I think I ended up with him in one league just because I was desperate for an outfielder and he happened to be there a little later than I expected. And but yeah, I'm on board with you. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get 25 and 15 out of him. But, yeah, 2015. If he does less than 2015, it's going to be pretty disappointing for me. But, yeah, it's 15-15 is definitely
crazy. And to that end, I mean, the season starts less than a week from now. You might have already drafted him. If you did and you're feeling like, what should I do with him, I'd offer him up. I'd see what you can get for him at this point. Like I said, I'd be happy with 15 and 15 from him, which is below what you're probably expecting. But let's get into – and listen, apologies to everybody if this is going long. It feels like it's starting to get long. But hopefully –
I can go all night. Don't apologize. They can turn off whatever they want.
All right. Well, we're going to get into one of the most hottest debated guys that that I got into some conversations with about this week. Vincent Velasquez was named the Phillies' 5th starter. I really think incredible potential. His K rate. I mean, let me just give you some numbers on Vincent Velasquez. His K rates have increased every season from 7.7 to 12.3. That's a huge jump. He jumped from Double-A to the big leagues last year out of necessity.
12.3.
12.3. That was in Double-A before he got called up, right? And again, they've increased every year. He's never stayed the same. He's never, regressed. He's continually progressed on those K rates. Okay, so he's at I'm sorry. So when he came to the bigs, they were still at 9.4 with Houston last year. Everybody complains about his control and his walk rate and everything like that. He's starting to cut that walk rate down. But even this spring now, he's again improving on those K rates. They're up over 10 right now. This guy is just a beast. And I honestly think playing in Philly with everybody thinking there's no expectation on him to win anything, there's really not that much pressure on him. He's the 5th starter on one of the projected worst teams in baseball. How much pressure is there on you? Just go out there and hurl the ball and strike out the world. That's the mentality this guy's got right now. And I really think he's coming into his own. I think he's a high upside guy with a relatively high floor at this point as well. So I want to know, are you in on Vivi, or are you thinking he's one of these guys too that, I'm not going all in on him yet?
I'm in. I mean, he's worth definitely a late pickup in the draft. I mean, David, if you got to reach a couple rounds, I mean, let's be real. The end of these drafts, you're just getting useless players anywhere. Guys you're going to be interchanging probably. I mean, if you get one gem out of there, you're all good. So take guys like that. I mean, if you get him anywhere near, if you got to reach, multiple rounds, reach 4 extra rounds. Who are these guys you're drafting anyway? Take a guy like this. The K rate you can't beat, stuff like that. Those are the guys that, again, I'm almost obsessive with to a fault. But yeah, he's in Philly. I mean, he's just chilling. I mean, he could be under the radar. I mean, I kind of. I worry about them playing in Philly, and it's obviously if you play in leagues with the win. I know some people hate having wins as a stat category, but I'm all for it. I'm fine with wins as a category. And he's probably not going to get very many in Philly, I'm guessing. So that might be a drawback as far as he's concerned, but otherwise I'm all in.
I'll give you one other potential drawback is he hasn't really pitched a ton, so there may potentially possibly be some kind of an innings limit at some point. I'm not saying I've even heard that anywhere, but just going off of his career numbers,
right.
There's no real need to rush him. So, there might be something like that potentially creeps up towards, the end of the season. But I personally, like you're saying, reach for him, a round, 2 rounds, even 4 rounds. And I totally agree with you. We start falling into these things where we see big names or ADP and we think, I can't take this guy because that's not where he's projected to go. I can get him later. But guess what? You might not get him later. And then you're going to be stuck with the guy you don't want. So you might as well reach and get the
old reach around.
Yeah, you get exactly. And then on top of that, like if you've already had your draft now, this is a guy maybe you should be trying to see if you can get him,
Yeah, he's probably there in some leagues. Go grab that dude right now.
Well, whether it be on the waiver wire or whether it be somebody drafted him late to take a flyer and you want to offer something that might seem a little more substantial. I really think this guy has potential to creep, let's say top 40-ish range. Is that going way out on a limb? I mean, you start approaching 180 Ks, if he pitches 150, 160 innings. I mean, that's the kind of numbers this guy's been putting up.
I'm all about the upside, man. I'm with you. I'm not going to argue with you. You're a smart guy.
Thank you. Well, we'll end it on that because we've come through all the players, and I can't think of a better way to end it than with a compliment from you to me. So, you have anything else you'd like to share with the world?
No, man. I just got getting a text from a woman telling me she's not feeling too hot, so I'm gonna have to go play my own little fantasy doctor. I learned it from my stepdaddy. He taught me the way, so I'm gonna, I gotta go play fantasy doctor real quick.
All right. Well,
on that note, I'll see you next week.
We'll find out how that goes next week when we reconvene. And for anybody not getting the stepfather reference, go back and listen to episode 1 of this from last week, and you'll pick up on it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Reddit, Razzball, Tehol, Selene, myself. We'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed this one. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, rate and review, leave us comments, let us know exactly what you like about this, exactly what you hate about
this. Give me the honest answer.
Yeah, we can't improve without honesty. We like the bad answers, the negative answers, the negativity. We like that better than the compliments.
Don't give me 1 star though, because you're lying to yourself. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. And we'll end on that. We'll see you next week. Hope you found something useful out of this.